immediately.
Because I believe that with them having my account there, they've still got access to personal information of mine through that account.
Well, they have information on you, and they can then utilize or bargain with that information. We are live by everybody, so just to
Speak
let
for
you
yourself.
know, we are I am the Nomad. I have Batman here with me. We're discussing something from Batman's dark, sinister past.
Yes, welcome to big time television with a massive audience of one.
He's a fathom around. Welcome, TM. Yeah, we're talking about Batman's sinister presence on Twitter, which was such a sinister presence that he had to be removed from
They're
Twitter
frightened of me.
and so forth. And yeah, Twitter is.
It's still a lefty playground.
It is still a lefty playground to an extent. It's not as bad as it was. I will admit that.
Actually,
As it became, all right, it's not.
I'm actually amazed that this hasn't happened to me years ago. Because I don't pull my punches on Twitter. Said Nomad will attest. Well, I didn't until I blew it.
Well, and that is an issue, right? I mean, because I'll be honest with you, I got asked a question about on Twitter about somebody, what would you do about something, and I would go out there. And my comment was hand him a can of gasoline and a match, right? So I mean, I can see myself getting banned for commentary like that. To be honest, right?
Yeah, I mean the comment I've made before numerous times to the same bloody question.
Yeah.
The illegal migrants crossing on their rubber dinghy, and there's a hand underneath with a pin. And would you? And I've said no. I would use a submarine with on a torpedo run.
The problem with this is that people are now finally slowly waking up to it. In fact, we could probably do that story right now. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that story right now with good old Mayor Adams.
Yes.
Excuse me while I get to the point where
Be careful what you wish for, especially if you're a lefty idiot.
There we go, so that everyone can see what we're doing here. The View co-hosts call for migrants arriving in New York City to be resettled elsewhere because America is a massive country. After Mayor Eric Adams said the crisis will destroy the Big Apple. Oh, really? The ladies of The View suggested on Friday that migrants should be resettled elsewhere because America is a massive country, while discussing their disappointment with Mayor Eric Adams' handling of the crisis faced by the New York City. New York City Mayor, warned earlier this week that 10,000 illegal asylum seekers were arriving every month will destroy the city. Dude, that's what's happening every freaking day, okay, in Texas and Arizona.
It's happening in the UK
and that's 10,000. I'm not exaggerating this. They are coming over in the tens of thousands a day. And you sat there. I'm sorry, go ahead before I go
off. They're saying that the United States is a massive country. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a vast amount of that land is unusable.
No.
You can't grow stuff there. People can't live there. It's inhospitable.
I would disagree with that.
It's so bad you wouldn't even house Indians on it.
No, I disagree with that as well.
Oh wait. Well, you'd house Indians on it because it's so inhospitable, right? Fair enough.
Well, no, that was not what I was saying. All right, do we have deserts and areas that are inhospitable in the United States? The answer to that is yes. The problem with housing people in the United States is the fact that 40% of the country is owned by the federal government.
Yeah.
That's the real problem.
Inhospitable places, Detroit, Arkansas.
Well, but that's not owned by the federal government. That might be inhospitable, true, but it's not owned by the federal government. The problem with idiots like the View, these turds, right, is you're the ones who are causing this. You're the ones who are saying, hey, we want these. We're a welcoming city. We're a freaking sanctuary city. We want to protect these immigrants. These immigrants need to come to this country. Well, then fit the bill. Since you want to sit up there and preach to everyone else that this is what the humane thing is, well, then show us what the humane thing is. You're only getting $10,000 a month, folks.
Yeah.
That's all that's arriving. That's all that's arriving in New York, and that is in the state of New York.
The human thing to do would be to find would be to find the causes which make their country so bad and help them fix their own
there is no
country.
Okay. That's not a humane way of doing it, and I'll tell you why. I understand your reasoning there, all right? But do you want America world police then? Because that's what it would take. The reason that they're leaving their countries is because they're hellholes and they don't have a way in their own minds to actually deal with it. Instead of dealing with it themselves, instead of rioting themselves, instead of taking the risk to fix their own countries, they run away.
Yeah. What I'm saying is give them the tools to go back and fix it.
Oh, yeah, with the leftists in this country?
Hold on. I mean, in places that were under British control in Africa, poor farming practices. We taught them how to farm better. They're better at it. Unlike the likes of Ethiopia, where they're still using farming practices that were thrown away in the medieval period.
Well,
which is why their topsoil constantly disappears every year.
Well, there is a problem with the way the Ethiopians and the way the Egyptians and they even go about doing things from a food perspective.
There are some things you can help a foreign country with. There are some things that the only way you're going to help them is to basically tear their country down and rebuild it from the ground up.
Well, that's what you're going to have to do with all these countries.
Yeah.
See, the problem when they talk about they need to fix their own. First thing is they have to recognize the fact these people that are being forced to come over here, right? That are running over here, are running over here.
Forced to come over here.
No, they're not being forced. They're running over here because it gives them an outlet. They're not forced to sit up here and deal with the shit that whether you want to admit this or not, they are helping to cause. Okay, the reality is that these people are part of the problem. There was I had a friend who came from Venezuela, and he would talk about this. He's now an American citizen, but while he was there, he said, "You don't understand what's going on in Latin America." And he goes, "Let me show you the difference between Latin America, right, and explain the difference between Latin America and America, right?" And what he did is he said, and he goes, "That's what it is." And he pointed to a newspaper stand, not the stand, but you know how you put a dime in the machine and you pull out the newspaper.
Well, no, because we don't have them over here.
Okay, well we used to have these. This is how
I know what you mean because I've seen them in TV shows.
And
movies
and they used to be ubiquitous before.
Funniest thing was when you saw Superman trying to climb out of one.
Well, that was a phone booth. That was a little bit different. But you had in America, you had the ability to go in there. These things were in major cities all around the country. They were ubiquitous.
It's basically a vending machine.
Yes, but it's a vending machine where you put in your dime, you lift it up, and when you lift it up, you just take one paper because there was no point of taking more papers because it's just a waste to you. He goes, "You can't do that.
Actually,
you can't do that in Latin America." And the reason is because the people would take everything.
Hold on. Thank you. That's what I was going to say. I've heard cases where in the United States, like in the 60s and even the 50s and the 70s, kids would take a dime, right? Open the thing up, swipe all the newspapers, then they'd go two corners over and start selling the newspapers.
That could happen, and I'm sure it did now and then, but overall it didn't happen. Why? Because there's an expectation of honesty and respect for private property in America.
There used to be.
Well, it used to be, yes. You don't that was the difference. But now what people don't want to recognize is down in these other countries. They're coming to the United States because they don't want to have to deal with the fact that their country is a hellhole. Their country's a hellhole though because they're doing nothing to actually fix it, and all they ever do is spew hatred toward this nation.
The thing
And they
is,
carry it into here, which is one of the problems that I have.
The ones that you'd want to move to your country are the ones who are staying back to try and fix their country.
That's true. To a large extent.
And you get the UK, right? Jill said they're all men of fighting age. It's not immigration; it's an invasion. It is a form of immigration because you'll find that most of them don't actually stay.
Yeah.
They come over here, they take money out of your country's economy and go home.
Yeah.
And most of them are coming over and
sending money.
They spend like a few years in the working in the underworld, as it's called. Yeah, crime.
Exactly.
Then they go home.
Yep. The Democrats were
calling them refugees, right?
Hold
on. No, you hold on. They're calling them refugees, right?
Correct.
Let's look at the ones that are coming to the UK. Oh, they're refugees. They're not.
No.
A refugee is somebody fleeing from an unsafe country. As soon as they get into their first European country, they're no longer refugees because they're in a safe country.
Right. And then that's very true. All right, but there's this here. I'm going to read JLM's post here, TM's. Democrats were placing advertising in Central and South America. Those people were scammed by the coyotes way back when Trump occupied the Oval Office. They're still doing it. They're still these people are still going down there and inviting these people in. Okay. Now I got into an argument today with an idiot on Twitter, right, who called Trump an autocrat. Well, he's an autocrat. He's going to destroy democracy. I said, you're an idiot. You got TDS. He said, the problem isn't Trump. The problem is you, because you don't have any logic. All you do is regurgitate what the mainstream media says.
Yep. I've got a friend in Edinburgh.
Right. And then you sit up there and go, you think that he's a liar. You called him a liar all the time. And then he tried to sit up there and say, I'm going by Trump's own statements. But you think he's a liar, so why would you rely on Trump's own statements? You see, and I kept trying to bring this up, that the problem is his inability to sit up there and deal with logic himself. His inability, or her inability, I don't know if it's a male or female, their inability to actually use something aside from emotion, all right, to analyze things. And they kept coming back, Trump, 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 Trump. And I said, we're still not discussing what needs to be discussed. It's you. You want to talk about a specific issue? Well, I did talk about a specific issue. I said that Trump is an autocrat. That's not a specific issue. That's an accusation.
Yeah, it's an accusation.
All right. And
I've got a friend in Edinburgh exactly the same. You just have to mention Trump. You could be making a joke about Trump and go off it. Yeah. Apparently he thinks Trump is he's a thief, he's a liar, he's a mass murderer, he's a racist, he's a sexist, he's a dissist. But apparently he's got a YouTube channel where he brags about all of these things.
Trump has a YouTube channel where he brags about being a racist, a bigot, a murderer, and everything else.
It surprised me when I heard Trump has a YouTube channel. I don't think he has, actually.
No, he doesn't. He has True to Social, and that's what this person is still kept going around. You're talking about what they're saying on True Social. I said you still don't get it yet. It's not about Trump. It's about you. You can't make a cogent argument. All you do is sit up there and regurgitate nonsense. Well, what about this guy? And he brought up this federal worker. I said, if Trump was who you said he was, how does this guy even have a job?
Oh, don't tell me the federal worker was from one of the so-called minorities.
No, it was from one of the quote-unquote federal unions, something that should be outlawed to begin with. Okay? Yep. And this is the problem with him. You cannot have a conversation with these people. All right? And the reason for it is because they can't even be inherently honest with themselves, let alone anybody else.
Trump is one of those people who, when he gets he's involved in a project, he will do whatever it takes to make that project succeed. That means if he becomes leader of your country, he will do whatever it takes to make your country succeed.
Well, to an extent. The problem that I have a lot of problems with Trump. I'm not going to deny this. Right? But Trump wouldn't even have been POTUS.
Yeah, I know your biggest problem with Trump. I think I know your biggest problem with Trump.
What?
He give you a wedgie, and he poured their punch over your head during your high school prom that year.
No. No, the problem that I have with Trump is
Which
I
was bad because
personally
he had to really go up his way to get your high school.
I personally have my biggest problem with Trump personally, right, is his own personal self promotion. I don't like that kind of horn blowing. All right, I don't
He's
like
like
it.
He's like William Shatner without the charm and the humor.
In a lot of ways, yes. All right, but at
But
the same time,
William
all right,
Shatner, hold up,
Trump would
William
never have
Shatner
been
is
William Shatner.
William Shatner is one of these people. He's arrogant, right? But he knows it, and in knowing it, he can control it.
He's correct. Correct.
Trump doesn't realize that he's arrogant.
No, he doesn't. He thinks that's just style. You're correct.
Yeah.
But Trump would never have been president. Would never have even been president. All right. If these idiots, including the guy I was arguing with, had demanded and put the Clintons in jail for their crimes to start with. Because he would have had no platform, all right, with which people would sit up there and gravitate toward. But because because the Uniparty was starting to insulate themselves, all right, from their own criminal activity, okay, that's what's caused Trump. And this is what's caused the press to have Trump derangement syndrome. All right, because they became part and parcel of the Uniparty. I use the term Gauleiter on the person. The person, I have a feeling, has no understanding of why I used the term Gauleiter or what it was meaning to be referenced towards. All right?
That would be me.
No, you were not a Gauleiter.
No, but I'm somebody who doesn't have an idea what it means.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Gauleiters were put in place by Goebbels, Joseph Goebbels. All right, he created Gauleiters to work directly under him so they could control the press. They were the ones that were put in charge of the media, and basically what they were doing is they would find the media that was not playing ball with them, and they would remove.
So basically the modern BBC.
Well, basically, yeah, the modern press, and so that's really what we're dealing with. Is you have these people have no intention of telling the truth. They intend to just spew propaganda. All right, by the Uniparty.
That's something. It's something that I hadn't really noticed for a long while, probably because I wasn't looking. But when you look back, let's go as far back as, let's say, the mid-'80s, when the establishment of the press were always at loggerheads, weren't they? Always, to a greater or lesser degree.
To a greater degree than what they are today, yes.
Yeah, but you got a lot more actual journalism back then, and a lot more unbiased journalism, or as unbiased as people can
less
be.
Biased. They were not okay. They were,
like it says, as unbiased as people can be.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say that it was as unbiased as people as it could be. It was, but it was
one thing. I don't know about the States, but over here, if a paper had printed a false story, they would, and they were proven wrong, there would be a retraction.
Yes, and it would be on the front page. That's how it used to be. Yes.
Now it's probably buried somewhere in the back page.
That's if they even give one.
Or they put it on their vlog that they know people never watch.
Well, or they'll just take it. They'll just remove it and then act like they never did it. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get to this next story, shall we? And I'm not going to watch the video. I'll just put it. Giant fireball. Excuse me. Erupted close to Vladimir Putin's war command headquarters as the kamikaze drones blasted a Russian city. A state of emergency.
Was it a kamikaze drone, or is there actually a Taco Bell there?
A state of emergency was declared in Rostov-on-the-Don, which lies near the Russian-occupied Ukraine. All right.
Why does that sound like a Russian children's program?
The drones triggered a massive explosion, sparking a huge fire near the military headquarters where the dictator is reported to have visited several times during the war. Huge plumes of smoke could be seen filling the air above the city following the overnight blast.
Sorry, I've got a complaint here. technically, realistically, because he was elected, he's not a dictator.
I'm not gonna. Well, so was Hitler. Just put it in there.
Yeah, Hitler got elected once, then he cancelled all elections. I don't think Putin's cancelled elections.
I don't know. All right.
I,
Three
I'm playing
buildings.
devil
Hold on. Yeah, I
advocate.
understand. I understand. 3 buildings and several cars were damaged in the attack, according to the Rostov regional governor Velisey. I can't pronounce your name. Stupid name.
Uh,
Gobliev. Right. Around 20
uh,
blocks of flats in the whatever street were left without electricity. Okay. First of all, it was a drone attack, right? My problem with the story here is you're trying to make it look like this is a significant attack
it's
by the
not.
Ukrainians, and it's
It,
not.
it, it, it's mainly an attack on a soft target. Soft targets don't win you wars,
Well, no, they can. I disagree with that. Soft targets
but
can.
generally they don't.
Generally, they don't. Generally, what happens in war when a soft target is being hit to try and win a war by hitting soft targets, what you have to do
If
is
the
keep hitting soft targets in order to slowly weaken the resolve of your enemy.
Yeah, the morale. Yeah,
Right.
that's what they tried with the Germans tried with us by flattening London and Coventry and stuff, and it just pissed us off.
Right.
These days, yeah, they would probably only have to drop 2 bombs and we would capitulate. And hello, Sean. No, I'm serious. I watched this documentary about the Big Freeze in 1963, right? Where literal Arctic conditions. There was pack ice around the south coast of England. Right, it was that bad,
Mhm.
and people just got on with it.
Yes.
These days, we're panicking because it's a little bit warmer than we're used to.
Yes. I don't disagree with you there. Dictator, the guy running the Ukraine. Actually, well, I thought you were going to talk about Dick Trader. All right, Dick Cheney. But that's a separate.
Nice one.
All right. Because he has made an appearance again. Let's talk about the Ukraine a bit more, though. All right. Elon Musk committed an evil act with Starlink orders,
No, he
says
didn't.
Ukrainian official. Let me finish reading the story, and then you can go on. A Ukrainian official has accused Elon Musk of committing evil after a new biography revealed details about how the business magnate ordered his Starlink satellite communications network to be turned off near the Crimean coast last year to hobble a Ukrainian drone attack on Russian warships. In a
I'm
statement
sure.
on Twitter, X, all right, the social platform formerly known as Twitter, all right, which Musk owns, the Ukrainian presidential advisor Podolyak, all right, wrote that Musk's interference led to the deaths of civilians, calling them the price of a cocktail of ignorance and
Oh,
big
fuck
eel.
off.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't an act of evil. It was just Musk probably did it for business reasons. It wasn't a good act, but it wasn't an evil act. It was just Musk protecting his own interests, which all businessmen do. In fact, we all do that. This is just a hit piece against fucking Musk.
Yes, it is a hit piece on Musk, and what's more
I'm
is
defending this guy, and he's a bastard who runs a fucking social media platform that fucking suspended me. Fuck him.
the problem that I have with this is I remember when
No,
he made that
to be
comment,
perfect.
when he made the comment about turning off Starlink. Okay,
Yeah.
and he did it because of the CIA reneging on paying him. If you remember correctly,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
they made a point of saying he said I'll give you guys free access to or give the Ukrainians access to Starlink, and he was putting things out there for them. But it was a deal made with the intel services of this nation, specifically the CIA, and the CIA tried to go, "Oh no, you're doing this for free."
Yeah, that's the thing is,
Okay, they
American.
totally ignore that fact.
Yeah,
That
the
must made a
American.
point of that.
The American establishment seems to think that they literally own the world because they try that in every fucking country. I remember reading they tried, yeah, similar tricks in the UK before. You know, the CIA and the NSA and all of those boys. They've basically been told to fuck off.
Yeah, we won't talk about the NSA.
Hmm?
You guys have the wrong impression of the NSA, and that irritates me to no end. And I'll tell you why.
I didn't say the American people.
No,
I
no,
said the American establishment.
I'm talking the whole thing, right? Because every time you mention things like the NSA and things like that, what you're doing is you're regurgitating talking points by the mainstream media that's actually avoiding talking about the people who are really the ones causing issues. It's a deflection point. I'm not saying, all right, that
I
the
know.
everything all this is
I'm
good.
on about.
It just bothers me when people
Yeah,
mention because they don't know what NSA is doing. They don't understand what the restrictions are with the NSA.
I
They
was on
think
about. I was on about. Yeah, the attitude that certain American establishment organizations have to the rest of the world.
yeah, but the NSA is not one of those organizations that has that attitude. That's my point. Their minders do. Okay, I don't disagree with you. Their minders do, but it's not that organization in and of itself. All right. But
As
Musk,
far as I understand it, the NSA is mainly an information gathering organization.
it's a. I'm not going to go into it.
Mainly an information gathering organization.
Yes, it is technically yes. Right. Well, we're just going to leave it at that. But the problem the problem with going after Musk in this right is where does Musk's responsibility of giving the Ukrainians anything? Why does he have to be responsible for giving them anything? Right.
He
So
doesn't.
an American, a U.S. citizen, all right, has to sit up there and provide support to the Ukrainians on every one of their attacks, all right, if they so
That's the thing.
desire it.
That's
That's
another thing.
bullshit.
They're pushing. They're, they're pushing the luck here because Musk is a U.S. citizen by choice, correct?
He did apply for U.S. citizenship and was granted U.S. citizenship.
Right?
Yes,
If they
yes.
push him enough, he's going to go somewhere else.
Where?
Pardon?
Where? Where would he go?
Anywhere he fucking wants. He's that
Oh,
rich.
yeah, yeah. I understand he can go physically anywhere where he wants.
No,
But wherever
no.
he goes is not going to be better than the United States. My point.
How do you know? I mean, the guy's rich
So,
enough to buy fucking Switzerland.
okay, let me ask you a question. Would you like to live in Switzerland?
I didn't say he lived there. He said buy.
Well, you can buy it, but if you're going to become a citizen, a Swiss citizen, is a
If you
different
buy it,
matter.
you don't have to become a citizen of it. You're the landlord.
It doesn't work that way. We don't have lords and masters and kings and queens in this country and around the world generally. I know you guys do.
Yeah,
I know you guys do.
actually, yeah, you do in Europe, and Switzerland's in Europe.
Well, I don't know if there's a Swiss king or queen. Let's talk about some other things about this. Japan Foreign Minister Hayashi, all right, makes unannounced visit to the Ukraine. The former minister Yoshimasa Hayashi, all right, has made an unannounced visit to the Ukraine on Saturday, the Japanese government said, in a show of support for the Eastern European nation's efforts to defend itself against Russia's ongoing invasion. It is the first Ukraine visit by the foreign minister since Moscow launched the war in February of 2022. All other
It's
Group 7 member nations have sent their foreign ministers to the Ukraine after the invasion, making Japan the last one to do so. Hayashi, who embarked on a trip to the Middle East and Poland last Sunday, held talks with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kubla, all right, in Kiev, and told him of Japan's plan to hold a conference to promote the economic reconstruction of Ukraine at the beginning of next year in Japan, the foreign ministry said. Okay, go ahead. Batman, and I'm going to give my view.
Yeah, he's only there because of international pressure. And it must have been heavy because, let's face it, it's very hard to force the Japanese to do anything. So people must have been using some kind of fucking financial crowbar to make the Japanese do this, because this is the kind of thing the Japanese usually stay out of.
I agree
Seriously.
that I agree that there's a lot of pressure being placed on Japan, but I don't think that was
And
the prime
also,
for this, the
this
prime
is
movement of this.
also all of this is pushing Russia further and further into China's fucking arms, which is the last thing Japan wants.
Yes, that's very true.
Although then again, like China, Japan and Russia have always been enemies, haven't they?
Yes, all right, but the thing is here is I don't think Japan. I think what Japan went over there for was to broach to propose a peace deal. Okay, I think
Oh,
they are.
yes.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to broker a peace between Moscow and Kiev. All right, and say okay,
I
we
hope
need
they
to
are.
end, and they're doing it through shadow diplomacy. All right, that's what this looks like to me. I do agree that yes, they've been putting on pressure. People have been trying to pressure Japan to make a statement that's very anti uh, Russian, right? But just by the way this is announced, just by how they're approaching this is the kind of this is the kind of Japanese diplomacy that they engage in.
Yeah,
I think that
because
what they're doing.
he's not really the foreign minister. He's a ninja.
I don't think he's. I don't think he's a ninja, but I do think that what they're doing is they're engaging in diplomacy to see whether or not they can get a settlement out of this. The reality of this situation is, and tried to explain this to people, is right now you can see they're at a point where there's defensible borders on both sides.
Yeah,
Okay, and
but
that's
it's the best way to call it.
it's now time for them to start to realize, for everyone to realize, this isn't going to go any further. Just because you wanted to make the Crimea part of the Ukraine, okay, which was a massive mistake by Yeltsin. All right, when they were recreating and redrawing lines, Yeltsin made a huge mistake even attempting to make the Crimea, okay, Ukrainian.
Well,
Why?
Yeltsin made
Because
a
they
lot of
were
mistakes.
Russian. Okay, they've
No,
been Russian. Go ahead.
Yeltsin made a huge mistake. All right, it was getting rid of Gorbachev. Yeltsin was a fucking a burned out alcoholic drunkard. Gorbachev was slowly easing the former Soviet Union into a Western-style democracy and capitalism.
I know.
If he'd been allowed to continue that process, we would have ended up with a far more stable Russia and probably no Putin.
Maybe not. Hard to say. I don't discount that entirely. All right. I do believe, however, that the authoritarian tendencies of Gorbachev were still there. Okay. To say that he was easing it, he was trying to bring about a different
Well,
economic.
he'd seen the Soviet Union, and he clearly knew that the Soviet Union didn't work.
Right. Well, could not continue the way it was. Yes, yeah, I agree with that. He was trying to make changes. He was trying to make the same kind of economic changes that China eventually made. But see,
And
look what China is trying to do now.
China's only doing them on the surface, so that's why they'll never work in China.
Well, they did it more than just on the surface, and they got a large. They have improved a large segment of their population. This is one of the
The
problems that
thing
China
about
has right
China
now.
is
They've got a long ways to go yet.
they've built fucking cities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the building of these cities is what's causing the economic boom in China. But these cities are uninhabited. There's
Yes.
nobody living in them.
Yes, there are
And
cities like that. That is true. And so rurally,
that means the economy, once they can't build any more of these cities, their economy is just going to collapse.
well, they're already in dire states, and that's one of the things that's happening
That's
right
why
now.
thhere after Taiwan.
Well, it
They're
is
after, you know,
because
you know the
money
real
is
reason
what
they're
they're.
after Taiwan. The real reason they're after Taiwan They want to corner the fucking cheap crap market.
I don't think it's quite like that. But I think this is Japan's attempt to try and engage in subtle diplomacy of ending at least the fighting and then allowing the situation to stabilize. The problem, of course, is there are too many people, and Biden is one of them. All right, who is it? This war is important for them to continue because if it doesn't, they become vulnerable.
People, yeah, if it doesn't, people notice how much of it. Yeah, how incompetent they are.
To a large extent. Okay, amateur makes gold find of the century in Norway. Let's see what this is about.
Then walks right into the tax man.
At first, I thought it was chocolate coins or Captain Sabretooth coins, said the 51-year-old Erland Bohr, referring to a fictional Norwegian pirate. It's totally unreal. The cash comprised 9 Norwegian gold medallions and gold pearls that once formed an opulent necklace, as well as 3 golden rings. Archaeologists say that the find is unique because of the design on the medallions, a type of horse from Norse mythology.
Yeah, try saying that when you're drunk.
That'd be very difficult. Bohr, who dreamt of becoming an archaeologist as a child, made the discovery on a farmer's land near Stavanger in August after he bought a metal detector from on his doctor's recommendation to get more exercise. And he had been out searching about to head home when the device suddenly began beeping on the hillside. He called an archaeologist who took over the search.
He's not going to hold on.
No, I just wanted to finish what I was doing there.
The thing is, yeah, he's found that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if he doesn't get to keep it, which he won't, he'll probably get about half the monetary value back, right? That will, since he found it, that will probably be named after him in some fashion, is what I was going to say.
I don't know. I will say this, though. I doubt that he'll be able to keep any of it.
Yeah, he probably get like it says, about half the monetary value for it.
No, he won't get half. I mean, he may get at best
a finder's fee,
like 10% or something like that. Because
he'll get a finder's fee.
Right, this trove, okay, is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions. Okay,
so that's that's hundreds of millions of dollars. That's like a couple of £100, right? Sorry, I had to convert it into real money.
All right, how about hundreds of millions of pounds? Because that's the real money that where you want to do. This is a.
Oh yeah, this
completely. It really is. All right, and the value of these, the value of this is more than just the gold value of the material, right?
Excuse me a minute. Sherari, get your hands off of my body.
Anyway, the
Sherari.
It's a great find, and I'm glad the guy found it and everything. But the sad fact is he's not going to be able to.
He's still going to get a substantial sum, no matter which way you cut it.
He should, but I know what governments are like, and you do too.
In the UK, get about 10, maybe. I've heard of people getting 20% of the value of stuff they find like that.
Yeah. If he gets 10%, he's doing good in my
opinion. Over this side of the Atlantic, our governments aren't quite as openly greedy as yours.
That's a.
I mean,
I wouldn't say that because I would disagree with you, but at the same time, I'm not going to try and defend the greed of our government.
Right, if you found on your own land, right, a chest full of treasure that your ancestor had buried, right, you lose just about all of it to the government.
No.
Yeah, you would.
No, you wouldn't.
They would because they'd say, "Oh, well, actually, this is government land. Are you going to have to pay it all up, boy?"
It is possible that they'll attempt.
Here's your income tax invoice.
Well, but your income tax has to be relative. Until you sell it, you haven't realized income. So it's
Shirati, I said, keep your hands off of my body.
don't touch me there either. Speaking of this,
Yeah, and I'm not going to touch your off switch.
from
Don't worry.
WAPO, raid arrests at Venezuela gay club provokes fears of a new persecution from Caracas, Venezuela. It is. It was, excuse me, an ordinary Sunday afternoon at the Avalon Man Spa and Bar, the gay club in Valencia, 2 hours west of the Venezuelan capital. All right, was filled with clients or receptionist Jose Areo. All right, Sunday is our busiest day. Then the police arrived with neither advance warning nor an arrest warrant. The officers from the Venezuela's National Policía, all right, entered the massage rooms, the locker rooms, and the saunas. Witnesses said, shouting, "Get out! Hands up!" Within moments of their arrival on July 23rd, the police had rounded up 33 men, including Arroyo, all right, and the club's owner on charges of indecent outrage, noise pollution, and criminal association. I still don't understand, said Guillermo Luis, Avalon's 34-year-old owner. We had all the paperwork, and they still arrested us.
Yeah, I've got one important opinion about this story. I don't care!
I do, in this sense. Okay. The reality is all these leftists out there that are pushing this LGBTQ whatever, thinking that somehow when you guys are finally get your own and you put those Marxists in charge because they keep saying, yeah, I'm for you until they shoot you. Yeah, they've done this repeatedly throughout history. These Marxist leftists,
China,
all right, do the exact same. China, Soviet Union, Germany, Cuba, all these places claim that, oh no, we're for you, up Vietnam, against the wall. North Korea. Okay? They do this, they've done this repeatedly, and you frippin' stupid morons keep worrying about, oh my God, the Christian told me I was going to hell, and how dare he violate my right by telling me I'm going to hell, and we gotta put a stop to that.
There's another thing. This is Venezuela. Venezuela's in South America. They probably hadn't paid their protection bill, and the police are corrupt.
It's that aspect of it as well. All right, but we know what this was. But this is also where they start doing.
Probably,
no. You also got to. No. This very well could have been the government.
Actually, this probably wasn't actually police. This was probably one of their clients getting his birthday wish.
No, I suspect that this is probably the government.
I'm making a joke.
I believe that this is the government of Venezuela, and what they're doing is they're
like you said, criminal organization.
They're deflecting. All right, the populace by going after these people, by sitting up there trying to say we're here to try and save society, we're here to try and root out this immorality. It's the exact same thing that they've done in every time these leftists take over a country. This is exactly what they eventually start rolling back into every time.
Nomad, what's the difference between the Venezuelan government and a criminal organization? I didn't think you know, neither do I.
It's more effective. Right?
Hold on. The one
it's not outlawed because it's legalized. So you can't commit crimes when you're legal.
Yeah, the one that are you showing the Prince Harry story yet?
No. Do you want me to push those Prince Harry story yet?
You might as well. You've got it up.
Prince Harry is met with cheers and jeers as he prepares to launch Invictus Games in Germany, with one irate protester branding him a murderer over the Duke's admission he killed 25 Taliban in Afghanistan.
Right, stop there.
Okay.
I don't know if he did, I don't know if he didn't, but it doesn't matter. He was serving in the armed forces at the time, and he was in armed conflict, killing killing a member of the opposing side during armed conflict is not murder.
I agree. Prince Harry was all smiles as he arrived for the opening ceremony of his Invictus Games in Germany. A mix of royal fans and protesters gathered. An excited, crowded crowd of royal fans eagerly awaited the arrival of Prince Harry at the ceremony
Both of them.
being held in Dusseldorf Town Hall. He was joined by Stefan Keller, the mayor of Dusseldorf. Okay, what is the Invictus Games? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't really care.
Uh,
I don't really care about him, but I had to stand up for him there because member of the armed forces. You tar one with that brush, you tar them all.
well, and I don't know if he ever killed anyone himself, or if
He
I mean,
probably did. He was a serving member of the armed forces.
right.
That's the thing. I mean, Prince Andrew during the Falklands War was a rescue helicopter pilot. Yeah, in the Falklands. He saw action. Once while they're under their military service, they're not given any special treatment whatsoever. In fact, I think Andrew actually got suspended from duty once or twice because he hadn't shaved himself correctly.
Mm. Yeah, I give Harry credit
Prince Harry is Shirati.
I give Harry credit for serving in the military and actually trying to do his duty, right? And I do think that if they'd have left him
Yes,
alone, if the press would not have attempted to tell his story, and he had served his entire time with his mates, he would have been in a much better place mentally to avoid
possibly. Yeah.
traps
I mean,
like
they didn't with
like Markle.
any other member of the royal. They didn't with any other member of the royal family. Yes, it is Shirati.
Okay.
I'm answering Shirati because she's asking questions.
Yeah. China think tank says India is sabotaging the G20 for its own agenda. From Beijing,
That would surprise me.
India has
They're
been
only complaining, right? They're only complaining because China's doing it better than they're trying to do it.
India has been trying to take advantage of its role as the host of the G20 summit to promote its own agenda and harm China's interests, a Chinese think tank affiliated with the country's top spy agency said on Saturday. The harsh criticism,
great.
That's harsh. I hate to say this, but that's harsh criticism.
If they're harming China's own interests, I'm all for this.
Okay. The harsh criticism by the China Institute of Contemporary International Relations. This is their spy agency, folks. All right, which is under the Ministry of State. All right, comes as the G20 leaders began their annual 2-day summit in India's capital, New Delhi, with Chinese President Xi Jinping not attending. The think tank accused India.
Because he's seen a jar of money.
The think tank accused India of bringing geopolitical private goods onto the global stage, which it said it would not only help the country to fulfill its responsibilities as host to G20, but also create further problems. India held 2 earlier G20 meetings in disputed territories, one in the Arunachal Pradesh, all right, which China also claims, and the other in Kashmir, contested by Pakistan.
Yeah, well, that name, I'd pronounce it as badly as you do, but that's an Indian name, and China's claiming it. It's probably an area that's full of Indians, and that was Shirati, wasn't it?
Probably.
Yeah, I'm interrupting you for a second. Are you really saying that the no balls dude got accused of murdering because he was in the military for a short amount
We're
of time?
not saying he was accused of murdering. We're saying somebody accused him because he was in the military, and he's in a book. It claimed that during his combat
he was
time,
accused. Whether or not somebody accused him or he was accused, however you want to word it, the word accused was used.
Yeah. Yeah, he was accused by some German nutcase, but like I said, he was a serving soldier. If you don't defend Harry against this, you don't defend any of them.
No, I'm just wondering how the fuck he had balls in the military, but he doesn't have balls now.
Some women can do that to some men. Seriously.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I know a guy. He's one of the biggest villains in my town. Tough bastard. But yeah, when his wife says jump, he asks how high.
You're supposed to go how high and how far.
He's not that bright.
Let's go on to the next story, shall we? Oklahoma
yes.
Oklahoma Elementary
Goodbye.
School faces huge
She's
backlash
gone.
after hiring drag queen Chantel Mandalay as principal, with the state superintendent Ryan Walters slamming the move as liberal insanity.
Yes, it is.
I agree. An elementary school in
Mind.
Oklahoma
Hold on
is facing a
second.
huge backlash. Let me finish reading the story. After hiring a drag queen as school principals, with the superintendent denouncing the decision, superintendent of all schools in Oklahoma, denouncing the decision as complete insanity. The superintendent of the state of Oklahoma said for the immediate or called for the immediate termination of the drag queen, who goes by the name Chantel Mandalay and reads storybooks to children at local libraries while in costume.
No.
Boy.
If said drag queen had the required qualifications and preferably experience, also didn't read do drag queen story hour and turned up for work dressed appropriate for the position, then I would see no reason why they shouldn't continue in the job. But obviously, this isn't the case. Oh my god! What? Yeah, no. Why do they all look exactly the same? They do, though, don't they?
I'm just all right. The reality is that these people who elect these degenerates are somehow thinking they're helping kids. You're not helping kids. You're a degenerate. If you think that it's appropriate to put somebody like this in your school, they're helping themselves to kids. They're as degenerate as pedophiles.
They are helping kids. They're helping kids into early psychosis.
They're degenerates. All right.
Yep.
If you support this nonsense, you're a degenerate. Period. There is no. They need to learn. Bullshit. There's a difference between what you do as an adult in adult situations and what you do for kids. And this is the problem.
You can teach kids about this stuff when they're at an appropriate age and in an appropriate manner.
And elementary school will never be a place for them.
No, it won't. I agree.
Let's go on to the next story.
Apparently, Shirati is sick.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I hope you get better. Get better, Shirati.
Maybe she needs a solenoid replacing.
A little oiling. Climate activists trash Walmart heiress's super yacht again. Climate demonstrators are targeting their fury toward the world's wealthiest people. Two Spaniard activists vandalized Walmart heiress Nancy Lori's super yacht in Barcelona on Friday, according to CNN. The second time the luxury vessel has fallen prey to protests in 2 months. Two protesters sprayed biodegradable red paint across the yacht before rolling out a banner that read, "Billionaires should not exist." The spokesperson for the group behind the protest said, "At the end of another exceptional summer in terms of record temperatures and extreme weather events, right? The richest 1% of the people on the planet continue to pollute more than the poorest 50%. Tell that
bullshit
to China, asshole." Okay?
Yeah, that entire statement is bullshit.
It is bullshit.
That there actually have been no records broken. It was warmer during the era of the Dust Bowl. in the 20s and the early 30s,
It was a bad time at that point. The activists were
than it
detained by
has
police.
been. Hold on. I was saying it's because you didn't let us finish. I'm starting again. It was warmer. It was actually the average global temperatures were warmer in the 20s and 30s, the era of the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression, than they've gotten yet.
Yeah.
There have been no fucking record broken.
Yeah.
And the 1% of the planet can't pollute more than the poorest 50%. There's only 1% of them. There's 50% of the other people.
The activists were detained by police for 3 hours before being released. They should have been released after 3 hours. They should be in jail now. Right? It comes in the same week that scientists from the Copernicus Climate Change Service, all right, reported that this summer was the hottest on record since the beginning studies began in the 1940s. Notice how they avoid the Dust Bowl.
You know why that is? You know why that is? Because from the 1940s to the 1980s, the average temperature of the planet was getting cooler.
Yes.
So, yeah, way to cherry pick to promote your own agenda.
It's exactly what it is. It's look, I'm not for pollution.
Here's one for you. You know, during the Roman period and the early medieval period, it was warm enough to grow grapes up by the Scottish border.
Yes.
That's a lot hotter than it is now.
There's a lot of people that say Greenland used to be really green. When Leif Erikson named Greenland, it wasn't.
Well,
he wasn't trying to quote unquote hide
it. Apparently he was, but that's a different story.
Well, we don't know for sure.
But apparently Greenland was very green at one period, yes. Within recorded human history as well.
Yes. And so there's a lot of nonsense that goes on about a lot of this stupid shit. Just like this nonsense. Striking writers try to exploit conflicts between studios and streamers. No, they don't. They exacerbated it. This is an absolute false story. Now, why am I saying that? Because, and there have been a number of YouTubers that have come out and said that they were threatened by the WGA, the Writers Guild, that if they didn't play ball with them, that they would be excluded going into the future if they ever tried to get a job with a studio. That's not trying to exploit conflicts between studios and streamers. That's trying to create one.
Yep.
The Writers Guild of America said Friday that it's open to deals with individual studios that want to ditch the group, all right, that has been negotiating on behalf of the major legacy studios and Netflix and other streamers. The Hollywood Writers Union, let me finish this. The Hollywood Writers Union, all right, also publicly called out studios and streaming services which are being represented in the labor talks by the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, AMTP, whatever, right, for letting their internal disputes stand in the way of the deal. I hate to say this, you guys turned down a deal that gave you everything but total control over the number of people in the writer's room.
Do you know what my comment would be if I was on the other side of this industrial dispute, like management? Yeah, fair enough. We'll improve your conditions when you start actually fucking getting writers in here and not these fucking talentless hacks that you are getting in here.
The problem that they've got going on right now is the Writers Guild
Hollywood
never understood
is indeed
this.
Cancer Sharati.
The Hollywood is, well, yes, it is. But the biggest problem
actually, I would say Hollywood is the AIDS.
The Hollywood right now is in deep shit because technology has made them superfluous to where they were before. They can't. They are not the big entertainment bully that only had to compete with live sports.
The means to produce quality media entertainment, thanks to technology, is getting put more and more in the hands of the common man on the street.
And that's true as well. That's another factor that's being added to it. And add also to the fact that they're now in competition with far more people, direct competition with far more people because of that said technology. So they want to think.
Here's a for example for you. ebooks, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're getting people who are now published authors who, back before the internet, said their fucking work would never have seen the light of day.
Yes.
Most of it is shite.
Most of it is, yeah.
No,
But,
most of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Most of it is, but you know what else is happening? There are people who would never never would have been heard from that are becoming popular because they're better writers. They just didn't have the means before to get to reach the people.
There is that.
All right, so there are people that are benefiting from it. All right, that have been unfairly kept out of it. But the problem that they're dealing with right now is the fact that they're having to compete over a larger scale. These writers, and I said this from the very beginning, all these people kept talking about, oh, it's a residuals, and they deserve residuals. They don't deserve residuals. Do you know how much they're paid to write? They're paid for a week. A week. Okay? They gave them a raise from $10,000 to $14,000 a week.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and hello, Chris Knoll.
And yet these people were saying, oh, no, well, this is my residual check. Well, why don't you tell us what you were paid prior to that residual check? No, you were not. You were being paid that money before because the people who were taking the risk monetarily were the studios, not you. And yet you want to run around saying, well, I wrote it, so therefore well, why don't you take the risk to publish it yourself? See, that's how it used to be. The problem now, though, is technology has changed that as well.
They're saying they wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving a synopsis by the studio of what the studio wants, right? And they've got to base what they write around that framework, so they didn't actually write it.
To an extent, I would agree with you. But I don't have a problem with them. I do. And the thing is that the studios gave them carte blanche. This is one of the reasons why a lot of this stuff turned into shit. Right,
another reason is because the studios abandoned the studio system.
Yes, that is true too. But they had to. The studios are having to abandon that system because technology is forcing it on them. You see, really, the studios are dealing with competition that they never had to before either. You got to understand that.
Yeah, but back then with the studio system, they had far more control over their stars. Yes. There was a lot less scandals with the stars because the studios had them under tight control. They were schooled on what to say in the public, how to act, how to behave, and they knew for a fact if they stepped out of line, that was their career over. And now that that's been abandoned, we get the likes of Rachel Zelga, who can't act to save her life, is not nearly as good looking as she thinks, and is about as important as, well,
Lint.
as one of my cat's farts.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And that's true. Now she's not a writer. She's not part of the WGA.
I've seen ethos that have got more talent than that girl.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree with you, but it also applies to these screenwriters. And these screenwriters have put a lot of people who had nothing to do with writing and had nothing to do with the acting portion of the guys that are just the regular people who help services. They've put them out of work. All right, and they think at some point they're going to win this. They're never going to win this. And I've said this before. The leverage that they have doesn't exist. And one of the reasons it doesn't exist, all right, is because of how they're acting now. You know what their newest tactic is? Their newest tactic is to sit up there and get in front of these theme parks and protest in front of these theme parks and try and hand out flyers. And it's not just Disney Studios; they're doing it to Universal and several of the others.
I bet the badly written flyers as well.
They might be, but if they think that they're somehow by interfering with a guy who's trying to take his kid to a theme park to get them rides and to an amusement park, and that them interrupting them is going to endear them to them, no, you're not. You guys went down the perverted jackhole that the vast majority of you all were trying to claim. Oh no, we're all against this. We're all against this. While you knew that the perverts were infesting these areas, and I'm being very specific because Disney, the whole The whole business of Disney has degenerated due to the fact that they tolerated these perverts and they let them in and they let them infest it. This is how you get a guy dressed up as a quote unquote Disney Cinderella princess with a frickin' full beard and mustache. All right, don't tell me that this hasn't infected the entire studio process. And now what you're seeing is the regular people are saying, "I've had enough of your perversion." This is why they're suffering right now. And during the middle of this, the WGA said, "You know what? We want our perversion. You guys keep telling us woke shit, and you don't like our woke shit while we preach to you. Well, we demand you guys pay us for our woke shit." Not going to happen.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had to go to answer the door there. Apparently, my neighbours are complaining about you yelling.
I'm sorry.
And I'm on headphones.
I apologize.
Oh, yeah, you heard the latest. You know that Disney decided to put the dwarves back into Snow White?
Oh, how are they putting the doors back into Snow White? I'm afraid to ask.
Reshoots, apparently.
Oh, they're going to put it back into reshoots.
Apparently, Peter Dinklage is furious about it.
Who cares what that idiot thinks? Seriously.
Be careful. Be careful. He will come after you, and he will knock you down because he will bring a stepladder with him.
Yeah, he brings whatever he wants. I really don't care, right? The thing is he is a turncoat. Okay, he's not somebody. He's not somebody who really. Okay, I'm trying to think of the guy's name.
His characters are far more likable than he is.
Oh, that's very true. I'm trying to think of a specific actor.
The guy from Willow, Warwick Davis. Oh, Danny Masterson. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think he got he got Me Too, didn't he? And it was probably a lot of lies. Actor.
I can't.
Warwick Davis.
Yes, Michael Dunn. This guy. Right. For those who don't know, right, this is Michael Dunn. Michael Dunn was an actor.
Plato's Stepchildren.
All right. Yes, he was in Plato's Stepchildren.
Yeah.
But he was
in the Wild West.
He was a phenomenal entertainer. Okay, across the board. The guy could sing. The guy could play music on the piano. He was an accomplished musician. All right, and you know what he did is he stood up there and said, "I'm an actor." He never said, "I'm a dwarf actor." He said, "I'm an actor." He was an actor first.
Danny DeVito.
Okay,
that's what we should do. Peter Dinklage, Danny DeVito in a cage match to settle this.
It would be interesting, but it's.
Not for Peter Dinklage, he'd be screaming.
This guy, when you take a look at the abilities of an actor or an actress, okay, it isn't about necessarily just what they look like, and that's all we've become. It used to be about everything involved in it. People mistake actresses like Marilyn Monroe, and they say all she was this picture. People think about is this person who stood on the grate and it blew up her dress, and that's all people.
She was a ridiculously complex person.
She was not only a ridiculously complex person; she was a phenomenal
complex.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, you said compound.
Well, complex. Right, person, but initially,
she was a compound. Otherwise, she'd be an element, and that would mean she wouldn't be alive.
She was also very brilliant as in her craft.
Oh yeah,
and she was not someone who just sat there and did what she was told or read lines. She would engage with the directors and engage even in the editing process to say, "Here's what you're looking at. Here's what we do. Here's how we produce a better picture." She was involved in the entire aspect of the entertainment.
Back then, if they weren't good enough, they didn't get anywhere. Nowadays, they just get somewhere because they look pretty.
Well, you had the casting couch even back then.
I
Don't
mean,
get me wrong, but
listen,
she was not part of that.
Even then, you still have to be able to do the fucking job well. I mean,
To an extent, yeah.
you look at actresses back then, right? You could understand everything they fucking said.
That's true.
You look at actresses now, especially the good-looking ones, and half the time they're garbling their fucking lines. You can't understand what they're saying.
Well, that's because half of them are on drugs. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and the other half make me wish I was on drugs.
Let's get to the next story.
Sure, he loves old black and white TV and movies.
From the Hill. Oh, finally! Finally, the Hill, huh? Yes, late-term abortions are real, and they happen every day. Well, now,
I wish
I'm
Joe
not going
Biden's
to...
mother would have one.
You guys can read this story. It's from the Hill. But the problem is that the Hill, when Psaki said was claiming that no one's saying late term abortions shouldn't be used and they're not happening anyway. All right, you're making a false statement. Not one time did the Hill put out a record saying, "Oh no, they're happening by the tens of thousands a year." Okay, which meant that and this is just the United States, and what this meant is that it was happening dozens and dozens of times a day, folks.
Yep.
And yet these people are trying to claim, "Oh no, we're not for a genocide, infanticide." No, you are for infanticide.
One second then, Nomad. Hail Hydra, brother. Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra. Hail Hydra, Sixer. All right? It's infanticide that these people were pushing, and they're still pushing it. And not one time during that entire time did this paper call out the Biden administration, even though they knew the truth.
It's I've heard it described as demographic sculpting. Yeah, they're deliberately trying to alter demographics in the way that they.
Well, that's what the Margaret Sanger, the one who created the whole idea of abortion on demand. All right, that's what she was intentionally trying to do. She was trying to make sure that the black population got exterminated. It's not a joke, folks. And they're still doing it. And they're still doing it. And that's one of the reasons why in the United States today, the population, the percentage population of blacks in this country hasn't changed dramatically. Why? Because they've convinced a lot of them to kill themselves, to kill their children.
It's a horrible thing. The white population is going down.
Well, not in America. When I talk about white, Hispanics are white too. All right, this the idea that somehow they're not white.
For want of a better word, the Anglic population.
You can say the Anglic.
The likes of you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the real human beings.
Well, actually, my ancestry actually comes from the Azores.
You're gonna say.
So.
You mean the Azores?
Yeah. Let's get on this. New Mexico governor issues, and this is good. Okay, I'm going to make people mad. The New Mexico governor issues order suspending the right to carry firearms in public across Albuquerque. New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham.
Hold on. Carry them. You can't carry them publicly. Can you put them on a little chair and tow them behind you?
All right. On Friday, he issued an emergency order suspending the right to carry firearms in public across Albuquerque and the surrounding county for at least 30 days in response to a spate of gun violence. The Democratic governor said she expects legal challenges, but was compelled to act because of recent shootings, including the death of an 11-year-old boy outside a minor league baseball stadium this week. Lujan Grisham said state police would be responsible for enforcing what amounts to civil violations. All right. Albuquerque Police Chief Harold Medina said he won't enforce it, and the Bernardello County Sheriff John Allen said he's uneasy about it because it raises too many questions about constitutional rights.
Right?
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can I say before these recent shootings, including the death of the 11-year-old boy, would have probably happened if guns were absolutely illegal in Albuquerque. Let's be honest here. I mean, you still get gun-related deaths in the UK. You always will. the only problem, the only thing that intense gun control does is it pushes the problem underground.
Yeah, well, and if I'm not mistaken, tell me, you correct me if I'm wrong, but
Oh, and
aren't the
GLM likes my idea about the wagon.
aren't your gun related deaths increasing lately?
No, knife related ones are.
Oh, okay. Um, now I'm going to make a statement. First of all, a lot of people are saying that this is an abuse
Even
of
worse if it's a potato peeler.
this is an abuse of her power.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, but the reality is she does have this power. I want other people to
It's an
understand
abuse
this.
of her power and she's doing it because people like her have been allowed to do it.
Well, it's an abuse of power because people elected her. You better start learning who you're electing. You better start to
Well, yeah.
realize that when you elect a governor that their power is massive. She's legally within her rights to do this in the state. Now, she has the problem that we have with what she's doing here. All right, that's making it illegal. To be honest, is the fact that she's trying to limit it to a county, number one, and number two is she's trying to have it enforced by people who are by other people. She herself
I have a
is
silly
not
question.
putting any kind of enforcement mechanism in this case. If she was going to declare an emergency like this and then called out the National Guard to sit up there and enforce it, she has that power to do it.
I have a silly question.
Mm-hmm.
If she passed this law and
It's not
it
a
was
law.
legal to carry guns across, I didn't say it was. Right, if she passed this and it became illegal to carry a gun across Albuquerque, right? What would happen if you were to stand on the border of Albuquerque and the other state, right? But the hip that your gun was on was in the other state. Would she be able to get you then?
No, technically she couldn't. All right.
Because you're in both states at the same time.
Well, you're in both areas or counties. In this case, it's New Mexico. It's New Mexico
No,
County,
like,
Albuquerque County.
the border is running between your legs.
Yeah, no. Technically, you haven't violated the law. All right, from her or you haven't violated her emergency order. All right, but she does have. The thing is she does have the power to declare this as an emergency and to sit up there and take this kind of action. It is legal from that standpoint. The problem becomes she has to enforce it. She can't comply enforcement by other agencies, and that's where she's running around with this. Although she says she's going to have this being done by the state police. The state police do not have the presence to be able to enforce this. Okay, why? Because
they don't have the inclination.
Well, that does become problematic. Right?
I wonder how embarrassed she feels. She's wanting to do this, and her basically her law enforcement agencies have turned on and told her to fuck off.
Well, it's the city law enforcement agencies and the county law enforcement agencies. The state police department hasn't said anything. Right. The problem
because
is
they haven't been involved yet.
Well, they're the only ones who can do this legally because she directly controls the state police. But the problem is they don't have the ability to do it. They don't have the infrastructure, manpower as part of it. But even the infrastructure.
Sorry, I forgot the kind of culture we're living in now. Person power.
Whatever. They don't have the personnel to deal with this.
Shit! Yeah, that's wrong.
And even if they had the number even if they had the personnel to deal with it, what they don't have is the other resources necessary for that personnel to be able to do this. They don't. And so for her to make this kind of a comment, right? Even say this. Now, what's actually going to happen in New Mexico? Nothing. It's not going to have an effect. Now, she only did it for 30 days. This is another thing. She only did this for 30 days, and the whole hope here is to put this out there, scare people temporarily so that it looks like gun violence went down so she can then continue it. That's what she's going to attempt. But it isn't going to...
Apparently she's failing miserably.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how effective this is, because I don't think it's going to make any kind of difference. I really don't. I do feel for the fact that an 11-year-old died. Right, but see, that's the whole point. Is she's looking at this, going, if no more 11-year-olds in 30 days get killed, but 11-year-olds aren't killed every day in New Mexico. Now, Chicago's a different story.
She's not looking at it that way. She's looking at the 11-year-old death and going, yeah, and Hey, that's a great emotional fucking bandwagon to use to get what I want across.
Yeah. No, it is. It is.
She's cynically using a kid's death to
Well, yeah.
push her agenda.
That's what the leftist always does. Just like this idiot. All right.
That's what the right have always done as well. Let's be honest here.
Not really. All right. Not well. When I say the right, I'm talking conservatives. Conservatives tend to be a bit more specific oriented toward policy. Right. Initially, they used to be that way. Right. They've now started to evolve their tactics down to the lowest common denominator. Unfortunately. Right. DFL leaders Shavanthi. Well, I can't pronounce her name. Whatever your name is. Attacked during a carjacking outside of the North Minneapolis home. A leader of the Minneapolis DFL, all right, says she was violently carjacked at her North Minneapolis home in front of her young children Tuesday evening. Shivante, all right, who is DFL's second vice chair, posted an image of her bloody face online along with her account of the incident. Okay, she said she suffered a broken leg, cuts, and bruises after 4 young men, all right, carrying guns, attacked her outside her home while her 4-year-old daughter and her 7-year-old son screamed for help. The criminals will not win. We need to take back our city. Lady, you called for defunding the police. You said that the police were the problem in Minneapolis and that the police had to go. What? Why didn't you hand these 4 new young scholars who just didn't know better a pamphlet? Did you not have a pamphlet available to hand them and take care of this problem? You sit up there and caused these criminals to run rampant throughout Minneapolis right now, and you vote, all you people in Minneapolis, whether you voted, if you voted for this woman, this is what you voted for. If you voted for defund the police, this is what you voted for. You people in Minneapolis put Keith Ellison, all right, as the Attorney General of Minnesota, and the rest of you Minnesotans went right along with this leftist crap trap. Enjoy the hellhole that will become Minneapolis very, very soon. Because what criminals are starting to realize is that you dumbasses were serious and that they then can run rampant without any consequences whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And these people that you didn't want to call thugs, that you didn't want to sit there and go, oh no, they're just poor. They just need a little hope. You know what they're hoping? That you continue the policies that you've done so they can continue to beat, rape, pillage, and burn.
Remember during Trump's administration where you had these cities that they've got these fucking freedom zones, I think they called them.
Yes.
Which, they declared they weren't part of the United States, and that's exactly what happened there. There was no police in there, no law, nothing like that, and they devolved into fucking lawlessness and brutality. Overnight.
I love her freaking comment. We need to get illegal guns off the streets. If they didn't have guns, they'd just be beating you with bats and knives. You'd still be bleeding, beaten and bloody. This woman has no understanding of that she still would have been carjacked. She would have been beaten with clubs and knives. All right, and that nothing would have changed.
The injuries would have been far more severe.
Could have been. Well, these are pretty severe. You know, you get hit, you get pistol whipped, you're getting beaten, right?
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it, pistol whip's one thing, but it's a lot easier to beat somebody with a club than it is with a pistol.
I agree. She would have been far more bloodied if this would have.
She might not have even survived.
Well, that's very possible. All right, 3 stories left. 3 stories. Are you ready, Batman?
Hold on. Where the hell's my heroin at?
Okay.
Oh, fuck it. Go ahead.
Let's start. Girl finds rare 2.95 carat diamond in Arkansas park on her birthday.
It's mine. I lost it in that park.
Talk about a rock-solid birthday. All right. A girl celebrating her 7th birthday this month found a rare 2.95 carat brown diamond at the Arkansas State Park. Aspen Brown of Paragould found the valuable pea-sized jewel
Hold on.
during a trip
I'd like you
to
to-
Crater Diamond State Park with her father,
I'd like you to look at
grandmother to celebrate her birthday. Go
I'd
ahead.
like you to look at that picture there. You notice the gold colour of it
Yes.
and how it seems to be glowing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know what that is, and it is mine because I lost it. It's gold kryptonite.
It's gold kryptonite. Well, they claim that it's a brown diamond. Right, she was resting near a pile of large rocks atop an eroded surface of an ancient diamond-bearing volcano when something shiny caught her eye. Next thing I know, she was running to me, saying, "Dad, Dad, I found one!" Her father, Luther Brown, recalled. Right, to come across a gem that size in the 37.5-acre diamond search area is an extremely rare find, said Aaron Palke, a research scientist for the Gemological Institute of America. Right, most diggers, including professionals, only find diamonds throughout the park between 0.5 to 0.2 carats, roughly the size of a grain of rice. It's very unusual to find a diamond like that in Arkansas. Okay, diamonds are found in things that are known as kimberlite formations, geological formations called kimberlites. Okay, and this site, which I've heard of before, right? This state park. Basically, what they let people do is they let them come here on this kimberlite site. It's owned by the state, and they let them go look for diamonds. Right?
Yeah.
And it's a cool little, you know, getaway thing where they go in there and they let them basically go in there with shovels and scoop some dirt and go through and look for diamonds, and it's a great outing for kids to sit up there and just see what prospecting was like back in the days and stuff, with the additional possible benefit of actually finding a high quality gem. Okay.
It'd be funny if some kid come up with doing the sieving and finds that his pan's actually absolutely full of them. I bet he'd never get out of that park alive.
I think it's cool that this now. This is
I'm pleased for the kids. In all seriousness, yeah, that's a birthday she's never going to forget.
And it's something that can be passed down as an heirloom for the rest to her family when she gets older and so on and so forth. It's a great moment.
And it's got,
it's
not just a great heirloom, but it's got a fucking story attached to it as well, which makes it even better.
Yes, right, and it could go on for years and years and years. Now, it's unfortunate that she didn't find something like 100 carats. That would have been really cool. Okay.
It'd be even great if she found a fist-sized one that was pink in color.
Well, I don't care. We don't need the Pink Panther stuff. And we don't need stories like the Hope Diamond. All right.
Yeah, you know the problem with the Pink Panther, don't you? If you find that diamond, yeah, that French detective's going to show up.
Clouseau is going to show up at your house.
Excuse me.
I think Clouseau is busy in Florida, as a matter of fact. A Florida man was arrested early yesterday after allegedly pelting a pair of Walgreens workers with Snicker bars at 1:20 a.m.
Food fight!
The employees were not injured in the candy fusillade. Parts.
How's it gonna be? It's a fucking Snickers bar, for crying out loud.
Police say that
he'd have to be using a slingshot for them to injure them.
Idel Noe Quesada, 23, tangled with workers after unsuccessfully trying to buy cigarettes at the Walgreens store in Clearwater. Noe Quesada had shown a photo of an ID card, but was refused service due to the business policy, according to the criminal complaint. Why?
The business policy.
Denied his smokes. Noe Quesada reportedly became irate and began throwing Snicker bars at a female employee who was hit in the face by the airborne candy, which contains nougat, caramel, and kiwi nuts.
Apparently, JL thinks it's Uncle Arthur.
A second worker then told Dakota to leave the store, but he refused. Instead, Nagoya, who appeared to be intoxicated, all right, allegedly threw several more Snicker bars at the other Walgreens employee, striking him in the chest. While
Yeah,
Noi Casada claimed he
so
didn't
basically,
mean to throw the
he
candy at the second worker, surveillance footage, showed that was very intentional on where he directed the Snicker bars.
so he attacked these guys with Snickers bars, but they got the last laugh.
He was arrested on a pair of misdemeanor battery accounts and booked into the county jail, from which he was released in the morning after posting $1,000 bond.
Oh, and Sean has just said he hit her in the face with his nuts.
Look, dude. Now, I assume that the policy that they're referring to was don't sell smokes to drunk people.
Why?
I don't know. That's the only thing I can assume, because you can't sell cigarettes to underage people. True, but
Right.
he wasn't underage. 23 is
No.
23 is not underage.
He doesn't look underage.
Yeah, he kind of does, actually.
No. Hold on. Yeah, that facial has been painted on, hasn't it?
Yeah, he does look like he could possibly be a younger teen. However, if he had ID and the ID was there, what?
Maybe
Let him buy the smokes.
Falsified.
Let him buy the smokes. Final story of the day, folks. Hyena runs for its life from a cheetah in South African wild. Not quite accurate, because it's running from a cheetah. No, it's running from a pair of cheetahs. See the other one over here?
Let's face it. They're cheetahs.
Right?
It's running away from them. They're just trying to get to make it go away.
Yeah. A father.
Otherwise, it would be dead.
Yeah, a father and a son on safari in South Africa captured a heart-pounding moment when a curious spotted hyena crossed paths with two fierce cheetahs. The sighting, the sighting was captured on camera by Hanno Earlman and his 8-year-old son, Phoenix, during a safari in the Kruger National Park in South Africa. Earlman, a 43-year-old nature enthusiast, documented the scene and shared it in latestsightings.com. We set out that morning excited to have found two male cheetahs and the same two we had seen the day before. Little did we know that this day would be a little different. As we watched the cheetahs lounging in the golden grass of the S114 Sand Road, a curious hyena strolled onto the scene. I couldn't help.
Is that a cheetah? Oh, I haven't seen a cheetah before. Oh no, it's chasing me! Arg!
Cheetahs. Okay, well, now hold on. Hyenas are not curious; they're assholes. Okay.
No, hyenas are actually no. Hyenas are curious because they're opportunistic. Opportunistic animals are curious. Humans are opportunistic. We're curious.
No, they check things out, but it's not curiosity in the sense that
rats are opportunistic. They're curious. Yeah, they are curious.
I don't think they're curious. I think he was going over there. Is this an opportunity? Yes or no?
No, they are curious. They have curiosity. This has been noted.
Yeah. I couldn't help but recall that the previous cheetah sighting with two males and nonchalant hyena.
Hold on, Shirati. How dare you say that about Nomad? I mean, he might be the same shape as a baby, but he is not a baby.
They ignored each other, so I expected a similar reaction. But suddenly, without warning, both cheetahs sprang into action, chasing the hyena with astonishing speed and intent. Dad and I were both so surprised. The cheetahs are incredibly fast. No shit. Because they can get up to 70 miles an hour from a dead stop in
45.
Less than 3 seconds.
I believe it's 45 miles an hour. But they're cheetahs. What's astonishing about the speed?
Yes.
and if they wanted, if they were serious about it, that would have been a very quickly dead hyena. They just wanted the bastard to fuck off.
I don't know if it would. If
they probably had a kill, because cheetahs, I think, are like jaguars. They hide the kills in trees.
They do, but a hyena, A hyena
It can still smell the meat.
but a hyena is very strong. Okay, and
Uh,
so it
they've got
could
strong
it
jaws and four legs. Yes,
yeah,
but
but
there's
they're
two
also they're
fucking
tough as
cheetahs.
well. Well, I understand there was two cheetahs, and yes, it's a possibility that the hyena would have been killed,
Mm.
right? But it's also
Cheetahs are far
possible
more,
that in that process that if they had gone for the full kill, that the hyena defending itself could have at least killed one of them. All right.
at least injured, because hyenas cheetahs are a lot more maneuverable and
Yes.
agile than
Yes, they are. Yes,
hyenas.
they are. I mean, but hyenas, like I said, hyenas are robust. They can take
Yeah.
a good bit of damage. Now, there's a huge difference in weight ratio between like a lion, okay, and a cheetah. Okay,
Yeah.
cheetahs tend to only weigh about 70, 80 pounds at most. Okay?
Cheetahs are, I think, the smallest of the big cats.
Yes, and they're obviously the fastest as well. All
Yeah.
right. And cheetahs are predated on by the other big cats.
And Shirati obviously doesn't like hyenas either.
Right.
Just because they keep laughing at her whenever she goes to the zoo.
Yeah, it's interesting that the hyenas. Now, the other aspect of the hyenas or not the hyenas, I'm sorry, but the cheetahs that I find interesting is it seems to me that more and more there's more and more documentary evidence showing cheetahs showing up in pairs and so forth.
Yeah.
All right. Whereas before you'd always hear about them as singular.
Generally, I think when
things.
the young one just left they've recently left the care of the mother, that they tend to hang about in pairs.
Yeah, I think though that you're seeing that the hanging out part is more and more is happening longer and
So
longer.
basically, they're like human beings. Their children are feeling to take off as well.
Well, I think they're adapting to the situation, and
Failure to
there's
launch.
failure to launch. I think they're adapting to the situation and they're becoming instead of solitary predators, they're becoming group predators because that's the only way to survive. All right, everybody, that's everything I got for today.
Hold on. Shirati said, they remind me of you, Bats. They sound funny and make weird noises. You can talk, Shirati. We've heard you squeaking when you're talking away. Right, that's it. It's all done, all dusted, all over. You can all fuck off now.
We'll be leaving now. Thank you for showing up, everybody. I hope you all have a good day, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Yeah,